Hello, good evening, Matilde. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hello, good evening. Yes, I can.
Great, that's great. Matilde, please, I'm again with the computer that is not working very well. So if I turn on my camera because of my connection and everything is going to be a little bit unstable, perhaps even now my voice is going to be a little bit laggy. So I'm going to be working without the camera today, please, Matilde. Okay, so
All
that you
right,
can hear me well. All right,
okay.
thank you. Great. Now, let's start directly with the lesson, please. I'm also going to ask you for a second favor just for now. I got something that I couldn't cancel at 10:05 more or less. So please, just for today, I'm going to ask you to finish the class more or less at that time so I can go to that activity. And we're going to try to compensate these 10 minutes or 15 minutes, having extra 5 minutes at the end of each class. All right?
Okay, yeah,
Great.
sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, let's work then. Look, we have to work once again with gerunds, but now we are going to work with the special cases. This is different. We've known and we've learned about using them as subjects after some verbs and after prepositions as purpose and so on and so forth. But as I told you, sometimes some verbs can be followed by gerunds or infinitives. The meaning is the same. So you can say, right, I like to do, I like doing, and well, the main idea is going to remain the same. But there are some verbs, and these are the special cases that have different meaning. Sometimes it's just a little change, sometimes it's a big difference if you use a gerund or if you use an infinitive after them. Okay, so we're going to take a look at them. Just the most important ones to understand that there are exceptions once again. I'm going to start. All right, let's begin with these two, please. Sorry, I'm going to put this here. Remember. All right, remember plus gerunds and remember plus infinitive. So let's read all this slide, please, Matilde.
Okay, remember plus gerund. This is when you remember something that has happened in the past. You have a memory of it, like being able to see a movie of it in your head. I remember going to the beach when I was a child. I have a memory of going to the beach. He remembers closing the door. He has a memory of closing the door. Remember plus to plus infinitive. This is when you think of something that you need to do, and usually you then do the thing. I remembered to buy milk. I was walking home and the idea that I needed milk came into my head, so I bought some. She remembered to send a card to her grandmother.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, again, it is different, right? If you say again, I remember going or I remember to go. Now, just using please your own words, Matilde. How can you explain the difference between using gerund or infinitive after the verb remember?
Um, well, I would say in the second case, it's more, yeah, like a need. And in the first case, yeah, I was going to say souvenir, but I don't think that's the word in English. Yeah, my head, it's, yeah, no, I think I'm mixing with French. Yeah, it's like, yeah, like it says like there, it's a memory of the past. So I'm telling that something happened, and in the second case, something that I have to do.
Okay, yes, and the word that word is good, right? A memory of it. So yes, when you remember doing something is because you have a memory of it, right? As it says over there. But when you remember to do something is that you have a reminder, right? So one is a memory and the other one is a reminder. We can use those two words to perhaps make the difference between them. So let's try to practice just by having a short conversation. For example, what is a thing that you remember doing not very well, but well when you were younger? What is something that you remember doing?
I remember fighting a lot with my cousins when I was a child.
All right, yes, that's a memory, correct. Now, what do you remember again doing at college or university? What is something that you used to do a lot so that you remember doing that?
I remember studying a lot. I remember going to the library pretty often.
Okay, great, very good, right? So, memories of it. Now, try to tell me something that can be similar because we're going to talk about past, but this is going to be in the way of a reminder, right? Something that you almost forget, right? We can say that something that you almost yeah, forgot, but you didn't. So you were able to do it, or even it can be negative. So at the end, it can be that you forgot it. So, what is something again that you remembered to do that you were about to forget?
I remembered um, I remember to buy. I almost remember to buy some food to my dogs. I forgot about it, so I ordered some.
Okay, so at the end, you would say then that you didn't remember, right? You didn't remember
Yeah.
then to buy, right? That okay, food, so you had to buy. Well, something else or ask for it. Okay, good. That's one thing. Now, I was going to ask for that something that you didn't remember, but now you told me that. And what about something that you did remember? I mean, something that you remembered to do just at last moments, but you were about to forget, but you didn't forget because you remembered and you did it.
I I remembered to close my office before leaving because I have to put the code, so I almost forget it, but I remembered at the last minute.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. I think that's it. We're going to practice them together. Now we're going to be again using these gerunds, these specific ones, in some ideas that we're going to write. But this is remember, very simple, right? Remember plus gerund, a memory. Remember plus infinitive, a reminder, something that you had to do or you have to do. All right, that's remember. Now, forget can have actually the same meaning, but of course, it is going to be like used in an inversed way, right? If you use forget or don't forget, of course, it's going to be kind of the opposite as remember, but the logic is the same. So let's also read, please, this, Matilde. Forget gerund and infinitive.
Okay. Forget plus gerund. This is the opposite of remember plus gerund. It's when you forget about a memory, something that you've done in the past. Have we really studied this topic before? I forgot reading about it. I told my brother that we'd spend Christmas at Granny's house in 1985, but he'd forgotten going there. Forget plus to plus infinitive. This is the opposite of remember plus to plus infinitive. It's when you want to do something but you forget about it. I forgot to call my mother. I wanted to call my mother, but when it was a good time to call her, I forgot. I was thinking about something else, and the idea to call my mother didn't come into my head. She keeps forgetting to bring his book back.
All right, thank you very much. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky, all right, sometimes, but let's see how we got it. I mean, you're going to try to tell me, all right, once again, a couple of examples and you're going to explain what's the logic behind it. For example, if I ask you this, Matilde, what is something important that you forgot doing? What do you say? And try to justify why you are using ing in that case.
Okay. I forgot. I forgot changing my email password last week, and it was mandatory for all the employees. So I got in trouble.
All right, now let's analyze there. Is it okay to use ing there, or do we have to use infinitive in that case? What do you say? Again, this can be tricky because it has this detail. Let's analyze. If you use right ing, it means that you did that, but you forgot doing that, right? But if you want to say actually in your sentence, I believe that you have to use infinitive because you didn't do it, right? It will be then with infinitive. So how would it be with infinitive one more time, please?
Yeah, it would be I forgot to change my password, my email password. Yeah.
Correct. Because at the end you didn't do it, right? You forgot to do that action. So then once again, it wouldn't be the answer for that question, but it's something important that you told me. But for that one, the question would have to be, right? Something like, what is something that you forgot to do, right? At the end, you didn't do it. So then what could it be? What is something that you forgot doing? Something that you did in the past, but you forgot that you did that action. Something very common. Look, this happens to me, not that often, but it happens all right with certain frequency, is that I always close my door right when I leave. I lock it, and many times I forget, all right? I tend to forget locking my door, and I go back and I try to lock it again, but it was already locked because I forgot locking my door. Okay, so I did it, but I forgot doing that. So that's something that I can say, right? And can happen with certain frequency, but it's valid as the example. So what do you say? What is something, it can be something important or something also as small as that one that you forgot doing?
I would say I forgot. Usually I forgot, doing my laundry, but then I realized that I already did that.
All right, yes. With that logic, it is correct. Okay, good. Again, this one, as you can see, it's easy, but it can be sometimes confusing, and we have to remember which one we have to use. And again, it's not because it's natural. It's just, again, grammar, and we have to remember that rule. Okay, so gerund, we forget a memory, something that we did, but we forgot that we did it. And forget plus infinitive, it means that we didn't do that action actually, right? That we had to, but we didn't do it. All right, so so far, I don't know if you have questions about remember and forget, Matilda. Let me know, please.
No, it was clear.
All right, let's keep going. This one also is really interesting. So also can be sometimes confusing, but I believe if we get the idea with forgets, this is also going to be clear. Let's read it, please. Try plus gerund and plus infinitive.
Okay, plus gerund. This is when you do something as an experiment. The thing you do is not difficult, but you want to see if doing it will have the result that you want. I wanted to stop smoking, so I tried using a nicotine patches. Using nicotine patches was easy, but I wanted to know if it would help me to stop smoking. She tried giving up chocolate, but it didn't help her lose weight. It was easy for her to give up chocolate. She gave it up to see if it would help her lose weight, but it didn't. Try plus to infinitive. This is when the thing you do itself is difficult. In the present tense or future tense, this means you might not succeed in doing it. In the past tense, it means that you made an effort to do the thing, but you did not succeed. I'll try to carry the suitcase, but it looks too heavy for me. She tried to catch the bus, but she couldn't run fast enough.
All right, thank you very much. Now, here also, let's try to think of some examples because we use them again in very particular cases. And again, the meaning that they give, of course, is different, right? That's why they are in this list of exceptions. So imagine that you have to solve a difficult problem, all right? Something that is difficult on your field of study, anything that you can think of. Try to tell me, please, some things that you can attempt by using try. And you decide if you're going to use try plus gerund or try plus infinitive. So what do you say? How can you solve a difficult problem?
I would say
And mainly this works when you don't really know how to solve it. So you need to look first for alternatives, right? To see if it works. And then you can say if it's possible to achieve and solve it or not. And actually, in just that experiment that I'm telling you, you can use the two cases of try, plus gerund and infinitive. But it depends again what ideas you give. And you can tell me anything. It can be any problem, actually related to your work or related to your daily life, anything that comes to your mind.
Right. So, well, building trust in a dialogue process is difficult. So I try being empathetic with the participants.
Great. That's one thing. What else? What other options did you see?
With gerund?
Yes, it depends on you. You can still give options because actually, right, if you talk about options, we can only use gerunds. In the other case, it's also like an option, but actually something that we don't get to do, right? But in your example, you got to do that. That's why you can use gerund. So what
Okay.
else? What do you say? What are other things you tried that you were able to do? Or what is something that you tried actually, but you couldn't? And in this case, you can.
Well, try to no, I try active listening um, in order to understand the participants better, to understand their needs. I mm, and I try building. No, I try to build a close relationship, but it's very hard to do. So that takes a lot of time.
All right. Yes, I think that's perfect. Right? Good. So again, with gerund, those are options that we are actually able to do, right? Because it's easy or because we were able to do it, we can use try, right? I tried doing this, doing that, doing this other thing, and you were able to do those options, right? But again, when it's hard, difficult, or simply you don't get to do that, we can say tried to, right? So yes, perfect. I tried to reach that, I don't know, book, but I couldn't do it, right? So I needed to use something else. So I tried using, right, something else to reach it, and I got to do it. So great. That's gerund and infinitive, options, and something that it is difficult for us. So that's try. We have, I believe, one more. That's the last. Yes, stop. This is kind of simple as well. I believe that the ones that can be tricky sometimes are forget and try. So I believe this one is going to be very clear. Stop and gerund, Matilda. Let's read, please. Gerund and infinitive with stop.
Okay. Gerund. When we stop doing something, it means the verb in the gerund is the thing that we stop. It can mean stop forever or stop at the moment. I stopped working when I was expecting a baby. Working is the thing I stop. My grandmother stopped driving when she was 85. Driving is the thing she stopped. My boss came into the room, so I stopped browsing the internet. There was a fire alarm, so I stopped eating and went outside. Stop plus infinitive. In this case, we stop something else in order to do the verb in the infinitive. I stopped to eat lunch. I stopped something else, maybe working or studying, because I wanted to eat lunch. She was hoping and she stopped to get a cup of coffee. She stopped shopping because she wanted to get a cup of coffee.
Thank you very much. Now again, if we analyze, right, stop plus gerund, we stop doing something, it means we stop the action in gerund. And right, and stop to do something means that we stop something else in order to start the action with infinitive, right? So it's kind of the opposite in that case. So when you say, for example, what is the difference of I stopped smoking and I stopped to smoke? How do you explain the difference between those two?
I stopped smoking. I mean, I quit smoking and I stopped to smoke because I made a pause and I take out a cigarette and smoke.
Great, exactly. Very good, right? Very simple. So let's try to give please just a couple of examples. Give me one with gerund and try to justify why you're using it, and one with infinitive with the same, please, Matilde. And then we go to a short writing exercise using all these infinitives. So what do you say? What two examples can you give me? One of each.
Okay, let me think. I stopped swimming when I get my tattoo because it could get infected. I stopped. I stopped. I stopped eating meat. When I became a vegetarian.
Yes, both are correct. Great. Now just one with infinitive. What could it be, the one with infinitive?
I stopped. I stopped to get some gas. While I
Exactly.
was
And in that one,
mm-hmm.
just the context. What would it be the context? What's the action that you stopped in order to do this other activity?
I was driving and then I stopped to get some gas.
Okay, all right, great. Again, right, it can be obvious and it's obvious, but it's just to see if the context is clear. And again, it is. So great. Look, these are some of the exceptions, and I believe that these are the most important ones, and we don't have a lot more. All right. I believe that there are two or three more that are the ones that we can use with this logic. The rest of them, they don't change in meaning. You use gerund or infinitive and it's the same. right? As I told you, for example, finish, begin, like, dislike, use gerund or infinitive, there's no difference, like in these cases, right? And the other ones, they only work with gerund or they only work with infinitive. So you have those three big groups: the ones with a specific verbs, the ones that can work with gerund or infinitive and don't change in meaning, and these exceptions that they work with both, but they mean something different, right? Whether you use the gerund or infinitive, it's possible, but the meaning is different. Now, before going to this writing practice that I told you, a very short one in this case, tell me please, how much did you know about these differences? Were you used to using these words with these specific conjugations? Is it something that you knew before, or is something that you used to apply, but without knowing that you were having those differences? What do you say, Matilde?
I would say without knowing, I mean, not consciously. Yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
yeah, I didn't know that, like as a rule, but yeah, it's like it sounded good.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, yes, and it happens, right? When you practice a lot and you have a lot of experience with the language. So we don't need grammar, right, in those cases, but it's always good to confirm and to be sure, right, that we were doing it good, or perhaps sometimes to correct some mistakes that we were having, right? So it is good. So the last question to go there, and which ones, all right, you have a stop, sorry, you have a stop, you have try, forget, and remember. Which one do you think, or which ones do you think that you were using the most in the two cases, gerund and infinitive, with the correct meaning without knowing? What do you say? Which ones were the most common for you to use?
Mm, I would say stop or try, maybe. Yeah.
Good. Great. So that being also, it helps me know what this activity can be about. Those being, all right, the ones that you've practiced the most without knowing, all right, it means that you get them. We are going to then work with remember and forget. All right. Again, it's going to be very simple. In this case, it's not going to be a complex structure or part of a paragraph. I mean, it's going to be a paragraph, but you are only going to tell me, as we did before, anything about the past using remember and forget. All right. Try to tell me again. It can be a short story of you doing something in the past, and you have to use, please, these two verbs. All right. That's the minimum. Remember and forget. And each of them has to be used in the two forms, with the gerund and with infinitive in the again, the differences that they have. I know that again it's sometimes hard to connect the ideas, but let's try to please do an effort over there to do it. So those are the two. If you get to use the other two that are try and stop, it will be great, all right? But forget and remember are going to be our main objectives. So what do you say? Do you have any questions? Anything? Absolutely anything, any topic? Just connect the ideas, use the transitional words that you know, use the punctuation rules that you also know, and the main objective again, using these two with the two forms. So what do you say? Any questions before starting?
No, I don't think so. It was clear.
All right, so let's open the document, please. I'm going to be waiting for you as I'm going to look for the timer. Let me know when you have everything ready to start.
I think I have it. Yeah. So I start doing in the second slot after the essay that I've made before.
Yes, this would be part of the second one. Let me see. Give me a second. So we've worked tenses review, tag questions, and infinitives. That's one. Then passive voice quantifiers. It was you just reviewed that we're not going to take a look at that unless we need it. So this should be part of Unit 2. So yes, please, let's work it on the second part.
Okay.
Great. So, second. All right. So the presentation is going to show remember. In case you need to see forget or the other ones, let me know so I can change. All right, the slide. So I'm
Okay.
going to start with the timer.
Okay.
Good. All right, so we're going to take a look at what you're doing, and well, we're going to give some feedback if necessary. I'm not going there yet. Do you need some extra time to finish the last details? Tell me, please, Matilde. I'm going to go to the page, but let me know how you're doing.
Um, yeah, I think it's done, but
All
I
right.
should use another forget word.
So let's go there then. Oh, actually, I'm going to go. All right, so I'm here now with you. Let's read, please, everything you get to write.
Okay, I'm a forgetful person since I was a child. I remembered going to the school and losing all my belongings. It was a nightmare for my mom. I remembered losing my eraser 4 times in a month. As punishment, she decided to make a necklace of the eraser so I wouldn't forget the eraser anymore. It was so embarrassing. From that moment, I stopped forgetting my eraser and other belongings. Otherwise, they would become a new necklace.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, again, I'm going to ask also some questions before giving just, I think there are just two details that can be important. The rest of it seems to be great. And some details to verify. For example, as you're telling this story, right? You're saying, I'm a forgetful person since I was a child. Then you say, I remembered going to school and losing all my belongings. So, in that case, as you are telling this story in present, and this is a question, do you think that it's better to use in this case the simple past? It depends on how you're going to formulate the rest of the ideas. Or the simple
Mm.
present. Did you remember that in the past, or are you remembering that now as you're telling the story? It depends on that. What do you say?
Mm. No, I would say I remember that in the past, not in the moment.
All right. Okay, so you're telling me that at that moment you remembered those two events in the past, right? So you're telling actually like the past of the past in that case, right? You're telling that in a certain past you remember doing other activities in an even right further past than that. Okay, good. That's one thing. Then it was a nightmare for my mom. I remembered losing. All right. Yes, again, that would be again the past of the past, or you can also use that one in present, and it would be
Mm.
like now you remember doing that action in the past, right? So both can work. It depends again the approach that you have for that one. That's why I'm asking. So both
Mm.
work. In a month, yes, as punishment, she decided to make so I wouldn't forget. Yes, it was so embarrassing. Now from that moment on, yes, we're using great punctuation and everything, so it seems to be great. I stopped forgetting my razor. All right, yes, that's really interesting. And other belongings. Now remember, here's my only observation plus the one that comes afterwards. Remember that otherwise is going to be a transitional word, so it can be, or it has to be, sorry, divided by semicolon or period, and also a comma after otherwise. Why? Because if you realize, it's connecting to complete ideas. I stopped, subject verb, and they would, subject verb. Okay, so it's like the consequence in
Mm.
this case. So we're going to have again the, I see it there. I don't know why I cannot get, okay, I'm here. So otherwise, then they would. Now, here, if you want to use a model in the past, remember that we can only do it in one way. that is using perfect models. If not, it has to be a present model. So you have two options. You can keep it like in present, they would become, all right? But I believe that you're talking about past and past in all the cases. So you have to say they would have become, right? They would have become is the past, sorry, yes, is the past model, or in other words, the perfect model. All right, so it will be again have, and as we have to use the past participle of become, it is also become, right? As become became become. That will be it. All right, that will be it. Again, that consideration of telling that in present, it's also correct if you say, I remember going right to the school. I also remember right losing my eraser. So you remember all those events that happened in the past as a memory because you're telling a story. And as you're telling the story, you are remembering specific things that happened, right? So that's why it's also valid, and it's sometimes a better idea to use that in present, at least when you are telling a story, all right, and you are receiving right those memories, and you say yes, yes, and I also remember doing this and that and so on and so forth. But that's it. I don't know if you have questions about those little details or about anything else related to this topic, Matilde. Let me know, please.
No, it was clear.
All right, there you go. Now, again, as we're getting closer to 10:05, as I told you, I'm just going to ask in general. Well, you already replied, right? You have until Wednesday, just in case for that test. All right, that was missing. And I want to know if you have any news from the account for Pearson.
Yeah, about the test, it's done. I already done it. And about the yeah, I asked for the code and they gave me a new username, and she told me that you should give me a code or something like that. I can't remember.
Perfect. Yes, yes, that's good. That's very important. So let's do that now, please, before we finish the class. Actually, it's in the yes. Go to, well, you are there on Google Classroom, but go to what is this called, the stream. Go to the stream, and it's posted there. Okay, Pearson
Okay.
ID, and that's the one. And remember, to join, you have to go right to your new product. You have to sign in, open the green product, go to settings, right? And on settings, remember that you have to look for join a course. So I'm going to show you now, but try to do that now, please. So I'm sure that you joined, and I can also send the assignments. As soon as I finish the activity that I have now, I'm going to assign everything for this new model. All right?
Right.
Good.
Yeah. Join a course. Don't transfer grades or transfer grades.
Yeah, don't transfer the negative answer, please.
Okay, joining a course is in progress.
All right, perfect. Now, let me just verify. Mm, yeah, this should be the one. I don't know why it's in this order, but your student 73, right?
Yes, I think. Yeah, 73. Yeah.
Okay, great. There you go. Now you are here then, Matilde. It's great that we have this now. So again, I finished these things that I got now. I'm going to assign everything, all right? All units plus the quizzes and the final test. It should be again the 8 days, but again, it was not our fault, right? That we didn't have access to this. So I'm going to give like 2 or 3 extra days to finish everything. Okay, so aside from the 8 days or 8 classes that we have, not taking into account right weekends, we're going to have like 2 or 3 extra days again to finish everything for this one. So that's it. I don't know if you have any final questions or comments before we can finish now, Matilda? Let me know, please.
No, no questions.
All right. So please, today is the fourth class. It means this is the middle of the module already. All right, I did. Oh no, I'm wrong. This is the third one. Tomorrow is going to be the fourth one. So today just the usual survey. Yes, I was all right getting confused. So there you go. That's the usual survey. You finish with that, and that will be it. All right. Thanks again for today, for finishing now. Again, we're going to try to compensate that with extra minutes in the future classes. Have a good night, Matilde, and I'll see you tomorrow.
You too. Good night. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.